Hello everyone, welcome to the Inspire program with Emmanuel Ishola. And today we'll be discussing something very interesting, and that is information for transformation. We'll be looking at the role and the power of books to transform individuals, to transform nations, and to transform societies. So we've titled today's today's program, Information for Transformation. So why are books important? Why is it important to read books? Books are important because they bring information, illumination, and understanding. Books are critical, right, in the transformation of any individual, societies, and countries at large. It's interesting to note that the Greek word for knowledge is phos. Now, phos is spelled P-H-O-S, right? The Greek word for knowledge is phos, P-H-O-S. Now, that word also means light, right? The Greek word for knowledge, which is also phos, means light. And the Greek word for, ignorance is scotia, which is S-K-O-L-T-I-A, scotia. And that also means darkness. So what does this tell us? This tells us that knowledge is the same thing as light, and ignorance is the same thing as darkness. So knowledge brings light, and ignorance is darkness. So is it really possible to know everything? It may not be possible to do everything, but books can provide answers to some of life's critical questions. Books can, provide answers to some of life's critical questions. And it's not just enough to buy books. It's important to read them. Why? Because having books, and not reading them, or having books in your home and not reading them in this information age is like having seeds in your hands and not planting them in the agricultural age. So there was a time when the hunter-gatherer society, when agriculture was predominant. So having books today and not reading them in this age of information is like having seeds and not planting them in the agricultural age. So I'll close with three quick examples of the practical power of books to transform nations, to transform individuals, and to transform societies. I'll start with the biblical Daniel. In Daniel chapter 9 verse 2, he said, I, Daniel, understood by books. So that tells us that books could give critical answers to some of life's biggest challenges and biggest questions. Number two, the barrister Paul, or Apostle Paul, in 2 Timothy 4 verse 13, was speaking to Timothy. He said, the cloak means clothes, right? The cloak that I left at a place called Troas, bring with you, and when you're coming, bring the books. Now, that will be appreciated better when you realize that Paul wrote about 13 of the 27 books of the New Testament. So it was flowing in a lot of illumination and understanding, which was activated by study. Little wonder the Bible says, study to show yourself approved. I would also come down to Nigeria and talk about Nigerians whose lives have been changed and who have made significant impact by study. And one of them is Dr. Bishop David Oyedepo. He once said that before he started ministry at all, he read 40 books of ministry. And I don't need to begin to talk about the huge impact that his life and ministry has had over the decades. There's also a Nigerian, Dr. Sunday Adelaja, who got a scholarship to Ukraine. It was the former Soviet Union at 19, and he was from a village, a 40-hut village in Idomila. And today he's a prominent global figure, and in fact has built one of the largest churches in Europe. In his several writings and several discussions, he also attests to the power of books and self-education. It shows that Any life can be transformed by the power of books, by dedication to study, and by that inquisitive mind to really get answers to life's questions. So read a book today. I will close by saying this. Why is reading important? Reading is important because it broadens the intellect, it enriches the mind, it enlarges your soul, it increases your vocabulary, and it is the most profitable way of spending time. So read a book today.